Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Nawreen. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Biden and King Charles III zero in on generational challenge of climate change. Ukraine not ready for NATO membership, Biden says. Larry Nassar, US doctor who abused athletes, stabbed in prison. "12 homes torn apart by landslide on Southern California's Palo Verde Peninsula. Biden administration asks appeals court to block order limiting its contacts with social media. Threads hits 100 million users in 5-day record surge. Silicon Valley Bank's former owner sues US watchdog for $1.9 billion. Hill Harper, an actor on CSI NY and The Good Doctor, is running for the US Senate in Michigan. Madonna says she is on the road to recovery following ICU stay, postpones North American tour dates. Wildfires in Canada have broken records for area burned, evacuations and cost, official says. North Korean leader's powerful sister says warplanes repelled US spy plane. Xi Jinping said Russia-China should lead global governance reform. Erdogan links Sweden's NATO bid with Turkey's EU accession. Putin held talks with Wagner chief. Georgia takes Eubanks stuns Tsitsipas at Wimbledon to reach his first Grand Slam quarterfinal. And Alison Corpus wins US Women's Open by 3 shots for first LPGA title. You were listening to Headlines, now news in detail. President Joe Biden and King Charles III, two leaders who waited decades to reach the pinnacle of their careers, used their first meeting in those roles Monday to zero in on the generational challenge of climate change, prodding private companies to do more to bolster clean energy in developing countries. The meticulously choreographed gathering at Windsor Castle injected substance into the type of encounter between president and monarch that historically has been more about ceremony. After the arrival formalities, Biden and Charles participated in a climate-focused roundtable with officials from the financial and philanthropic sectors. John Kerry, the U.S. envoy on climate, also attended. The 74-year-old Charles, who was crowned in May, has long fought to protect wildlife and battle climate change. Biden, for his part, identified climate change as one of the 4 crises he was determined to confront as president. He signed a sweeping legislative package last year that includes nearly $375 billion in climate-related incentives. Biden last had formal talks with Charles, then Prince, at the COP26 UN Climate Summit in Glasgow, Scotland in November 2021. The US president also attended the state funeral of Charles' mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in September, as well as a reception for heads of state at Buckingham Palace the night before the service. Biden did not attend Charles' coronation, sending First Lady Jill Biden instead. Jake Sullivan, the White House National Security Advisor, said the president has huge respect for the king's commitment on the climate issue in particular. He said Charles has been a clarion voice on climate and someone who is mobilized action and effort. President Joe Biden told CNN in an exclusive interview that Ukraine is not yet ready for NATO membership, saying that Russia's war in Ukraine needs to end before the alliance can consider adding Kiev to its ranks. Biden told CNN's Fareed Zakaria that while discussion of Ukraine's imminent membership in NATO was premature, the US and its allies in NATO would continue to provide President Vladimir Zelensky and his forces the security and weaponry they need to try to end the war with Russia. Biden spoke to Zakaria ahead of his week-long trip to Europe, which includes a NATO summit in Lithuania where Russia's war in Ukraine and Zelensky's push for NATO membership will be among the key issues looming over the gathering. I don't think there is unanimity in NATO about whether or not to bring Ukraine into the NATO family now, at this moment, in the middle of a war, Biden said. For example, if you did that, then you know, and I mean what I say, we are determined to commit every inch of territory that is NATO territory. It's a commitment that we have all made no matter what. If the war is going on, then we are all in war. We are at war with Russia, if that were the case. The Kremlin said yesterday that Ukrainian membership of the NATO military alliance would have very negative consequences for Europe's security architecture and that Russia would consider such a step a threat which demanded a harsh response, reports Reuters. NATO is holding a summit on July 11 to 12 in Lithuania aimed at showing solidarity with Ukraine. Larry Nassar, a disgraced doctor who was convicted of sexually abusing female gymnasts in the United States, has been stabbed multiple times by another inmate at a federal prison in Florida, U.S. media outlets report. The Associated Press news agency confirmed the incident on Monday, saying Nassar, who is serving decades in prison, is in a stable condition. Joe Rogers, president of the local correction officers union, told CNN that Nassar was stabbed 10 times, twice in the neck, 2 times in the back, and 6 times in the chest. The Federal Bureau of Prisons said an inmate at the U.S. Penitentiary Coleman in Wildwood, Florida, outside Orlando, was assaulted on Sunday afternoon but declined to identify the prisoner over privacy and security concerns. Responding staff immediately initiated life-saving measures, Bureau spokesperson Benjamin Ocon said in a statement. The inmate was transported by emergency personnel to a local hospital for further treatment and evaluation. Nassar, who is 60 years old, who worked as a medical coordinator for U.S. Gymnastics, was convicted on federal and state charges in Michigan in relation to abusing hundreds of female athletes, including Olympic medalists, throughout his career. He was first charged in 2016, but allegations against him of abusing girls and young women go back to the 1990s. During a court hearing in 2018, several athletes testified that they had told adults, including coaches and athletic trainers, that they were abused by Nassar, but no action was taken against him. In 2018, Michigan State University, where Nassar worked and assaulted athletes under the guise of medical treatment for nearly 2 decades, agreed to pay victims $500 million in one of the largest settlements for sexual abuse. Survivors also reached a $380 million settlement with U.S. Gymnastics in 2021. Survivors, including gold medalist Simone Biles, are suing the FBI, alleging that the Bureau failed to properly respond to reports of Nassar's abuse in 2015. A dozen homes torn apart by earth movement on Southern California's Palo Verde Peninsula during the weekend were likely to fall into an adjacent canyon, an official said. The homes in the Los Angeles County city of Rolling Hills Estates were hastily evacuated by firefighters on Saturday when cracks began appearing in structures and the ground. Walls and roofs began to fall as the land continued to slide, the country fire department showed in video released on social media. Significant land movement overnight completely destroyed the homes, Janice Hahn, chair of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, said in a social media post Sunday. To think that these homes were intact, yesterday afternoon and today you can hear the creaking, the cracking, the crumbling, Han told a news conference Sunday. They are going to fall. The city was collaborating with county agencies and the Red Cross to support displaced residents, Mayor Breithoff said in a statement. Officials did not know yet what caused the earth movement, said Pete Goodrich, a Rolling Hills Estates building official. Damaging landslides have occurred previously on the Palo Verde Peninsula, which rises high above the Pacific on the county's south coast and offers residents spectacular views of the ocean and greater Los Angeles. The Biden administration asked a federal appeals court Monday to temporarily block a lower court's order limiting executive branch officials' discussions with social media companies about controversial online posts. The request for an emergency stay was filed at the 5th U.S. District Court of Appeals shortly after U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty rejected an administration motion that he put his own July 4 order on hold. The order came in a lawsuit filed by Republican attorneys general in Louisiana and Missouri, as well as a conservative website owner and 4 individual critics of government COVID-19 policies. The lawsuit claimed the administration, in effect, censored free speech by using threats of regulatory action or protection while pressuring companies to remove what it deemed misinformation. COVID-19 vaccines, legal issues involving President Joe Biden's son Hunter, and election fraud allegations were among the topics spotlighted in the lawsuit. Doughty was nominated to the federal bench by former President Donald Trump. His injunction blocked the Department of Health and Human Services, the FBI, and multiple other government agencies and administration officials from meeting with or contacting social media companies for the purpose of encouraging, pressuring, or inducing in any manner the removal, deletion, suppression, or reduction of content containing protected free speech. Administration attorneys said in the motion filed at the Fifth Circuit that Doughty's ruling was too broad and vague and had the potential to chill government officials' speech on important matters. And they say Doughty failed to point to any evidence that the administration had made threats against social media companies to coerce them to take down posts. The Threads app, launched by Instagram as a rival to Twitter, has seen more than 100 million users sign up in less than 5 days, data tracking website said on Monday, smashing the record of artificial intelligence tool ChatGPT for the fastest growing consumer app. While ChatGPT took 2 months to hit the 100 million user mark and video sharing app TikTok took 9 months, Instagram itself took 2.5 years to reach the same mark after its 2010 launch. Threads went live on Apple and Android app stores in 100 countries late on Wednesday. Though it is not available in Europe due to legal issues the parent company Meta has had with the European Union's data privacy legislation. Twitter is thought to have around 200 million regular users, but it has suffered repeated technical failures since Elon Musk bought the platform last year and sacked thousands of staff. Musk, who also serves as the boss of Tesla and SpaceX, has also alienated many users by introducing charges for previously free services and allowing banned right-wing accounts back on the platform. Several rivals have emerged, but most are niche platforms without the capacity to grow at the necessary scale to dethrone Twitter. Threads is finding it easier because it is linked to Instagram, which has more than 1 billion regular users. Online data service Quiver Quantitative reported that the app passed 100 million users at 7 GMT on Monday. SVB Financial Group, the former owner of the bankrupt Silicon Valley Bank, has sued a financial regulator in the United States in a bid to claw back more than $1.9 billion. In a lawsuit, SVB Financial said the U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation violated U.S. bankruptcy law by keeping $1.93 billion in cash after taking over the group's banking arm earlier this year. The FDIC's failure to return the funds to SVB Financial was impeding its ability to reorganize and causing harm to the debtor on a continuous basis, the group said in the lawsuit filed in New York on Sunday. According to the Financial Times, the FDIC did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The FDIC seized Silicon Valley Bank's assets in March, marking the biggest bank collapse since Washington Mutual at the peak of the 2008 financial crisis. At the time of its takeover, SVB was the 16th largest bank in the U.S. with assets and deposits of $209 billion and $175.4 billion, respectively, according to the FDIC. SVB, which mostly serviced the tech industry, collapsed after depositors began withdrawing their deposits in panic following the bank's surprise announcement it would seek $2.25 billion to shore up its balance sheet. The bank's failure at the time sparked concerns about the overall health of the U.S. banking sector, although the fallout ultimately did not extend beyond the collapse of several other mid-sized banks. Hill Harper, an actor known for his roles on CSI NY and The Good Doctor, announced on Monday that he is running for Michigan's open U.S. Senate seat and challenging U.S. Representative Elissa Slotkin for the Democratic nomination. Harper is the sixth Democratic candidate to enter the race for retiring Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow said. Stabenow announced in January that she would not be seeking a fifth term in 2024 in the battleground state. Born in Iowa, Harper owns a house in Detroit and bought a coffee shop roasting plant coffee in the city in 2017. He attended Brown University and Harvard Law School before becoming an actor. He starred on the CBS show CSI NY for 9 seasons and currently appears on ABC's The Good Doctor. Harper was appointed to President Barack Obama's cancer panel in 2012 as a survivor of the disease himself. In an interview with the Associated Press before his announcement, Harper described himself as a small business owner, a union member, and an activist. He said that not being a career politician would serve as an advantage in Congress and that he plans to run a campaign powered by the people, for the people. Madonna says she is focused on her health and getting back on stage after a serious bacterial infection that led to her hospitalization in an intensive care unit for several days last month. I am on the road to recovery and incredibly grateful for all the blessings in my life, the pop superstar wrote on Instagram. My first thought when I woke up in the hospital was my children. My second thought was that I did not want to disappoint anyone who bought tickets for my tour. I also didn't want to let down the people who worked tirelessly with me over the last few months to create my show. My focus now is on my health and getting stronger, and I assure you I will be back with you as soon as I can, she continued. The North American leg of her career-spanning celebration tour, originally scheduled to kick off July 15 in Vancouver and run through October 8 in Las Vegas, has been postponed. Her tour will now start on October 14 at London's O2 Arena. Live Nation confirmed the postponement. Rescheduled dates will be announced as soon as possible. Fans are encouraged to hold onto their tickets as they will be valid for the new dates once announced, a statement read. According to her manager Guy Ozeri, on June 24, Madonna developed a serious bacterial infection which led to a several-day stay in the ICU. As he wrote on Instagram a few days later, her health is improving. However, she is still under medical care. A full recovery is expected. Now it's time for global updates. Wildfires raging across Canada have already broken records for total area burned, the number of people forced to evacuate their homes, and the cost of fighting the blazes, and the fire season is only halfway finished. officials said Thursday. It's no understatement to say that the 2023 fire season is and will continue to be record-breaking in a number of ways. Michael Norton, Director General, Northern Forestry Center, Canadian Forest Service, said during a briefing. A health expert also warned that smoke from the fires can cause health problems for people living in both Canada and the United States. When you are emitting large amounts of fire smoke into the air and that smoke is reaching populated areas, there will be health effects, said Ryan Allen, a professor of health sciences at Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, British Columbia. Norton said warm weather and dry conditions across Canada indicate the potential for higher than normal fire activity through July and August. Drought is a major contributing factor affecting parts of all provinces and territories, intensifying in some regions, he said. When coupled with forecast for ongoing above normal temperatures across most of the country, it is anticipated that many parts of Canada will continue to see above normal fire activity. As of Wednesday, there were 639 active fires burning in Canada, with 351 of them out of control. So far this year, there have been 3,412 fires, well above the 10-year average of 2,751, said Norton. The fires have burned 8.8 million hectares, an area about the size of the state of Virginia. This already exceeds the record of 7.6 million hectares set in 1989 and is 11 times the 10-year average experienced by this date. The powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un alleged on Monday that the country's war planes repelled a U.S. spy plane that flew over its exclusive economic zone and warned of shocking consequences if the U.S. continues reconnaissance activities in the area. The U.S. and South Korean militaries did not immediately respond to the comments by Kim Yo-jong, one of her brother's top foreign policy officials, which were published in a state media Monday evening. Earlier Monday, North Korea's defense ministry issued a statement accusing the U.S. of flying spy planes into its inviolable airspace and warning that approaching aircraft might be shot down. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff responded by denying that the U.S. had flown spy planes into North Korean territory. Spokesperson Lee Sung-joon said at a briefing that the U.S. was conducting standard reconnaissance activities in coordination with South Korea's military. Apparently in response to that comment, Kim accused the Joint Chiefs of Staff of acting like a spokesperson for the U.S. military and said the U.S. has been intensifying its reconnaissance activities in a serious infringement of North Korea's sovereignty and safety. But while the North Korean Defense Ministry's statement seemed to imply an intrusion into the country's territorial airspace, Kim accused the U.S. of sending spy planes over the North's exclusive economic zone, the area within 200 nautical miles of its territory where it controls rights to natural resources. China and Russia need to lead the correct direction of global governance reform, according to China's President Xi Jinping, who hailed the two countries' partnership at a meeting with the top Russian politician in Beijing today, state media reported. Beijing and Moscow have ramped up economic cooperation and diplomatic contacts in recent years, with exchanges only growing closer since Russia's invasion of Ukraine last year. Xi met Valentina Matviyenko, the Speaker of the Federation Council, the Russian parliament's upper house, at the Great Hall of the People, state broadcaster CCTV reported. She said the development of relations between the two countries was a strategic choice made by both countries based on the fundamental interests of their respective countries and peoples, according to CCTV. Both sides also need to strengthen communication and collaboration within multilateral mechanisms such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the BRICS countries, lead the correct direction of global governance reform, and safeguard the common interest of emerging market countries and developing countries, the statement continued. On Monday, Western leaders gathered in Lithuania's capital ahead of a summit expected to present unity on Ukraine's future membership of the NATO military alliance. a prospect Russia has reacted furiously to. Beijing says it is a neutral party in the war, but its refusal to condemn the invasion has led many of Kiev's allies to accuse it of favoring Russia. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, in an unexpected move, said yesterday the European Union should open the way for Ankara's accession to the bloc before Turkey's parliament approves Sweden's bid to join the NATO military alliance. Turkey's bid to join the EU has been frozen for years after membership talks were launched in 2005 under Erdogan's first term as prime minister. The ties between Ankara and members of the bloc soured several years ago, especially after a 2016 failed coup attempt in Turkey, but have since improved. The bloc depends on the help of NATO ally Ankara, particularly on migration. In a surprise change of tack, Erdogan yesterday linked Ankara's approval of Sweden's NATO bid to Turkey finally joining the EU. "I'm calling from here on these countries that are making Turkey wait at the door of the European Union for more than 50 years, Erdogan said, speaking ahead of his departure for the NATO summit in Vilnius. "First, come and open the way for Turkey at the European Union, and then we will open the way for Sweden, just as we did for Finland," he said, adding that he would repeat his call during the summit. A European Commission spokesperson said NATO and EU enlargement were separate processes. President Vladimir Putin held Kremlin talks with Wagner mercenary leader Prigozhin days after denouncing an armed mutiny he had led as treasonous, Putin's spokesman said yesterday, as Russia's top general resurfaced for the first time. The meeting with Prigozhin, according to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, was held on June 29, 5 days after the aborted mutiny, which is widely regarded to have posed the most serious challenge to Putin since he assumed the presidency on the last day of 1999. Much of what happened on June 24 and how the authorities are handling its aftermath remains unclear. Peskov said Wagner commanders had reaffirmed their loyalty to Putin at the Kremlin meeting. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,748.87. The NYSE Composite is increased by 77.24 points or 0.49%. Tokyo stock close price is 32,189.73. The Nikkei 225 index is decreased by 198.69 points or 0.61%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,203.70. The Shanghai index is increased by 7.09 points or 0.22%. Hong Kong stock close price is 18,479.72. The Hang Seng index is increased by 114.02 points or 0.62%. Bombay stock close price is 65,344.17. The Sensex index is increased by 63.72 points or 0.10%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. Eubanks, a 6'7" big serving American making his Wimbledon debut at age 27, right after claiming the first ATP title of his career, reached the quarterfinals at a major for the first time by stunning two-time slam runner-up Stefanos Tsitsipas 3-6, 7-6, 3-6, 6-4, 6-4 in a little over 3 hours on Monday. It's surreal. I can't really describe it, said Eubanks, who is from Atlanta and played college tennis at Georgia Tech. I just think the entire experience altogether has just been a whirlwind. It's been something that you dream about, Eubanks said. I didn't really know if that dream would actually come true. I'm sitting here in it now, so it's pretty cool. He is ranked career-based 43rd right now and had a win-loss record of merely 6-10 before going on the run to the trophy at Mallorca, Spain on July 1. That came on grass which he decided he hated a month ago, calling it the stupidest surface in a text he sent to International Tennis Hall of Fame member Kim Clijsters after exiting in the second round at a low-level ATP Challenger Tour event. Alison Kerpus became the first American in 20 years to make the US Women's Open her first LPGA title, closing with a 3-69 on Sunday and handling her historic moment at Pebble Beach as if she had been there before. Kerpus, a 25-year-old from Hawaii, pulled away with a big par putt and back-to-back birdies on the back nine to enjoy the most scenic walk in golf up the 18th fairway, the Pacific Ocean on her left, and her place secured as the first U.S. Women's Open champion at Pebble Beach. She won by 3 shots over Charlie Hull and Jia Shin and claimed the $2 million prize, the richest ever for an LPGA major champion. Kerpus was so calm and cool on the grandest stage in women's golf, regardless of the shot or the circumstances, until reality began to set in down the 18. When she tapped in for par, she covered her smile with her hand and wiped tears away with her aloha print towel. Kerpus, who finished at 9 under 279, was the only player to break par all 4 days. Hilary Long in 2003 at Pumpkin Ridge was the last American to get her first win at the US Women's Open. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest update. Millennium TV US and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.